Welcome back. We're joined by former acting U.S. Solicitor General Neal Katyal with new heat on Donald Trump in Georgia. And my first question is simple, Neal. Trump, Georgia, racketeering, go.
Well, I mean, look, I'm glad Mr. Trump has finally found his footing. Defendant in a racketeering case is just about the only job that's appropriate for him these days. And what's happened in Georgia over the last couple of days, Ari, is that they've hired an outside prosecutor, an expert in racketeering, John Floyd, who literally wrote the book on prosecuting state racketeering. And the district attorney there, Ms. Willis, already has a good deal of experience in prosecuting racketeering cases. It's not surprising that this news is coming. She had said on February 10th in a letter that everyone needs to preserve their documents because of a racketeering investigation. And so that's what's going on right now. Racketeering means that there could be some pretty serious criminal charges if charges are brought.
Let me read from some of the reporting, Neal. Reuters saying if Trump engaged in 2 or more acts that involve these false statements, you could piece together a violation of the Racketeering Act. And I'm curious what you think, given the equities here. He is not above the law. He's a citizen right now. But prosecutors talk a lot about having the goods to get 12 people to a guilty verdict. Do you think that that normal standard is best to apply here? Or do you think under the rule of law, if the evidence is strong enough, but there is real-world hesitance in a political polarized environment about what a jury would do, should a prosecutor lean towards following the evidence or following the jury issues, which I think even you would acknowledge may be real in any state, particularly some states?
Ari, you got to follow the evidence every time. Nobody can be above the law. You can't have a separate standard of justice for some people who are just too difficult to prosecute or something like that. And racketeering is often really about violent crimes like murder or kidnapping, but Georgia defines it more broadly to include false statements made to state officials. And here, Trump does have a defense. What he's going to say is, hey, I wasn't falsifying information. I genuinely believed that I had won the election. Now, ordinarily, that kind of defense wouldn't pass the smell test. But when you're dealing with delusion of grandeur, Donald, maybe he's got a defense there. And that's what Floyd and Willis are going to find out. And notably, the investigation here is not just about Trump. It's also about Lindsey Graham, Rudy Giuliani, the former U.S. attorney, Mr. Byung Pak, and some others. And any of those folks can flip on Trump. And I heard you in the last segment talking about Lindsey Graham. Why is he so palling around with Donald Trump? Well, one shouldn't rule out the fact that the possibility that he might be palling around with Donald Trump because he's hoping Trump will let something slip that Lindsey Graham can use in exchange for a deal.
All very interesting, and it's so important to stay on these cases given what already went down in the public realm. I want to thank Neal Katyal. You can always go to msnbc.com/opening arguments for Neal's breakdowns, which we appreciate. We're turning now to a legal case that, as a legal matter, Neal actually is not commenting on because he has actually been named special prosecutor. And that is the jury selection in the trial, the murder trial of Derek Chauvin, is expected to begin tomorrow. That's the former Minneapolis police officer charged with second-degree unintentional murder and second-degree manslaughter in the death of George Floyd. There is also a potential third-degree murder charge that might be reinstated. We also got a look at the jury selection questionnaire, which asked jurors about a range of issues, including do they have a favorable or unfavorable view of BLM, or do they support defunding police? We're going to stay on that story. We have a related update on it later in tonight's program. Right now, after the break, GOP infighting hitting Republicans in a money war, and a Republican mayor now telling Republicans in Washington, just get behind Biden's stimulus. It works and it's needed in the community. Our special guest next.